write our objectives for today. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to explain what is a compound time signature. You should be able to identify 3 compound time signatures and compose rhythms using compound time signatures. So pause the video at this time and please write these objectives in your notebooks. Okay, moving on. You want to have your note value chart. This is going to be very helpful to you throughout this process and throughout this unit of composing. Use this chart as your reference. Okay, we haven't been focusing on rests as yet, so right now just keep focused on note values. Some of you are learning these symbols for the first time, so this is what you're going to need to refer to from time to time. So let's look back at time signatures. In a time signature, we want to remember that the top number and the bottom number have 2 different meanings. The top number represents how many beats are in each bar or measure. And we're going to look at what's a bar or measure. And what's going to be even more important is the significance of the bottom number. The bottom number represents the type of note that gets 1 beat. Remember, both the top number and the bottom number can change depending on the time signature. And the bottom number, if it's a 2, represents a minim or half note which gets 1 beat. If the bottom number is a 4, it represents a crotchet or quarter note which gets 1 beat. If the bottom number is an 8, it represents a quaver or 8th note that gets 1 beat. And if the bottom number is a 16th, it's a semi-quaver or a 16th note would get 1 beat. We're just going to focus on just the first 2 numbers, first 3 numbers. Okay? So please keep that in mind. You should have this in your notebook. So in addition to the note value chart, you want to refer to this in your notes as well. So I referred to the word bar or measure, right? So let's take a quick look at that. Now you've been writing rhythms, and I want you to keep in mind that when writing a rhythm, you must have these 4 things. Number 1, the time signature. Number 2, a complete measure. And this is what a complete measure looks like. So our time signature is 4/4. So that means whatever we place here, whatever kind of rhythm we place here, it must add up to 4 beats. And remember, the bottom number is a 4, so it means that our crotchet, that's this note here, or quarter note, represents 1 beat. So let's see if this measure is complete. So this is 1 beat plus 1 plus 1. These 2 represent half a beat each. When you add those up, it's a complete measure. It represents 4 beats in all. Okay? So when you have 4 beats in all, you draw what's called a bar line, showing that that measure is complete. Let's look at measure number 2, or bar number 2. Does it have 4 beats in it? Quarter note, 1 beat, 1 beat, 1 beat. And these 2 8th notes gives us a total of 4 beats in the measure or bar. So when we have completed that measure, we draw what's called a bar line. So here we have 2 measures or 2 bars of rhythm. This rhythm is a bit longer. It has 3 measures, but for your assignment, you're only going to do 2 measures. But let's take a look at this example. So this 3rd measure, let's see if it has 4 beats in it. 1 beat plus half plus 1 is only equal to 3. So this measure is incomplete, and we can complete it by adding a quarter note, right? So there we go. We have 4 beats in the measure, so now it's complete. And at the end of our rhythm, we add what's called a double bar line. And in music, this just basically means the end. So for those of you who are confused about what's a bar or what's a measure, it's basically the space between bar lines where you write your rhythm. Okay, so remember these four things. You can pause the video at this time and write this in your notebooks. This is critical. You must have these four things to show that your rhythm is complete. So pause the video right now, write this down in your notebooks. So last week we looked at simple time signatures, and the definition is a simple meter or a simple time signature always has 2, 3, or 4 beats in each measure. And you should have had this written in your notebooks. These are 9 different types of simple time signatures. So let's review how we use these to compose. So this simple time signature, again, you want to refer to this chart. The top number tells us that each measure should have 4 beats. The bottom number means that a quarter note gets 1 beat. So we're going to use this chart here as a reference. So if a quarter note gets 1 beat, once you put 4 quarter notes in there, that's a complete measure. You draw your bar line. Okay? Let's look at another one. For 2 time signature, the top number again tells us that the measure must have 4 beats. But look at the bottom number. It's changed. Refer to your chart. A 2 means that a minim or half note gets 1 beat. Which one of these 4 notes is a minim or half note? It's the second one here. So, based on this time signature, this note is now equal to 1 beat. Before, we were looking at this chart showing us that a half note gets 2 beats. But because of the time signature now, the value of the half note has changed. So if a half note is now equal to 1 beat, then the value of all other notes will change. So if a half note is equal to 1 beat, then a whole note or semibreve is now equal to 2 beats. A quarter note, which was equal to 1 beat, is now equal to half, and an eighth note is now equal to a quarter of a beat. So keep that in mind. If the value of this note changes, all other note values change. So let's look at another rhythm here in 4/2. So it's just basically addition. Each measure or each bar must add up to 4 beats. So if I was to use a whole note or semibreve, which represents 2 beats, 2 plus 2 is 4. That's a complete measure. Draw a bar line. What if I was to use quarter notes, which now represents half a beat? Half plus half is 1. A minim or half note equals 1 beat. And a whole note or semibreve equals 2 beats. When I add that up together, that equals 4 beats. So this is showing you can use any combination of notes to create a rhythm. You just want to ensure that each measure adds up to the value of the top note. So in this case, each measure must have 4 beats. Let's take a look at one more simple time signature, 3/8. The top number, again referring to this chart, the top number tells us that each measure should have 1 beat. The bottom number this time is an 8. So let's refer to our chart. An 8 equals a quaver that gets 1 beat. Where is our quaver? Here it is. So if a quaver is now equal to 1 beat, then all other note values change. The quarter note is now equal to 2. This is now equal to 4. This is now equal to 8. Notice how many different changes we've had because of the bottom note. At first, when we're using the 4/4 time signature, the 8th note was equal to half. When we went to 4/2 time signature, the bottom value now changes. That's showing us that the half note is 1 beat, so all other values changed. Now in 3/8 time signature, the 8th note has now changed from half a beat, quarter beat. It now represents, according to our chart, 1 beat. So all other values change. So let's look at another way of writing this 3/8 rhythm. So according to this new chart that we have created, let's represent 3 beats in a measure. The quarter note is now equal to 2 beats, and the 8th note is now equal to 1 beat. 2 plus 1 equals 3. So again, this is just a matter of addition, ensuring that we have a complete measure based on the top number of the time signature. Again, you want to take out your note value review chart, have this handy so that you can create your rhythms correctly. So today we're going to be learning about a new type of time signature, compound time signatures. So a compound meter or compound time signature always has 6, 9, or 12 beats in a measure. So pause the video at this time and write down these examples of compound time signatures. Okay, so after you've written this down, let's take a look at our chart to this side. Based on our time signature, let's look at the 6/4 time signature. What is the top number telling us? Yes, that each measure must add up to 6 beats. And the bottom number, the 4, represents what kind of note? Look back at this chart. The 4 represents a crotchet or quarter note. Which one of these is a crotchet or quarter note? It's this one. So it's telling me whenever I say a crotchet or quarter note, this is equal to 1 beat. So let's look at this rhythm. If this is equal to 1 beat, let's see if it all adds up to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Excellent, that's a complete measure. So we add a bar line. Here is another rhythm. Here's using the same time signature, this is measure 2. Using different notes. So refer to your chart. This note, a half note or minim, is equal to 2 beats. So 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1. Again, that's equal to a total of 6 beats. So in our rhythms, we can use any combination of notes. It just must add up to the value of the top note. Let's take a look at 9/4. In the 9/4 and 12/4 time signature, we're introduced to a new type of note. That's this dotted half note, which is equal to 3 beats. So in the 9/4 time signature, each measure must have a total of 9 beats. So if this dotted minim or dotted half note is equal to 3, 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 9. In the second part of my rhythm, or the second measure, I decided to use quarter notes, but I must ensure that all these quarter notes add up to 9 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a complete measure. So I end with a double bar line. And finally, our 12/4 time signature. Again, the top number telling me that there must be 12 beats in each measure, and the bottom number telling me that a quarter note equals 1 beat. Let's see if we have 12 beats in all. In the first part of my rhythm, I've decided to use the dotted minim or dotted half notes. So 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 12. Or I've decided, and in the second part of my measure, I've decided to